What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about who should be in line next for the Lightweight Championship and face Charles Oliveira. All that and much more coming your way right now! Hey, Trash Talkers, it's Mike here. Over 93% of you who view our show each and every day are not subscribed to the channel. If you could hit that red subscribe button, it would help us out tremendously, and it is completely free for you guys. If you want to stay up to date with our daily content, then click that bell icon and you will be notified every time we go live. Nick and I both really appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and we can't wait to keep making more daily content for you. All right, Nick. Well, after UFC 262, Michael Chandler versus Charles Oliveira, we saw exactly what happened. Charles Oliveira comes out on top, came out swinging in the second round to claim his first ever lightweight championship in the UFC. Now he has to start on his road to defending this title. He said he was going to take some time off and spend some time with his family, but at this point, I'm ready for. I'm ready for Charles Oliveira to get back into the octagon and see what's going to go on. And I think we have a list of a few fighters that we believe have a significant shot at challenging Oliveira for the lightweight championship.
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of guys in the lightweight division that are totally deserving of this opportunity to face Charles Oliveira. Now that Khabib is out of the picture, Charles Oliveira has to prove to everybody that he's better than each and every one of them. Khabib did just that, but now Charles Oliveira has to pave his own way. And I want to start off with the bottom of the contenders. And to me, that's Islam Makhachev, a guy who's ranked 10th right now in the division, a guy who just hasn't had the opportunities, but everybody knows he has the skill. So should he get the opportunity right away? Probably not. I think that he needs to face a top 5 opponent and then get a chance for the title, but I think that he definitely needs a fight in between now and a championship fight. Then we have Michael Chandler, the guy who just lost. I mean, he had a great fight, and it was, if it weren't for what he said, zigging instead of zagging, he would have won that fight, and, it would have been a different story. So should he get another fight? Potentially, but not just now. I think that he also needs to get another fight in, prove himself. That's only his second fight in the UFC. He's got to prove that he really is a top 5 lightweight contender, and so he's got a little bit more to do. Beneil Dariush was a guy that really exploded last night when he faced Tony Ferguson, by far and away the biggest name that he has fought in his career, and what he did to him was pretty impressive. A guy who's pretty much known for his ability to strike. His black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu really came to play on the ground, absolutely dominating Tony Ferguson. Not something that's easy to accomplish, and he looked pretty good.
Yeah, so I mean, Islam Makhachev, I understand that he's ranked 10th, and even Joe Rogan was talking about it after the fight at UFC 262 that he believes that Makhachev is going to be a demon in this division and he's going to dominate for a long time. But he's not getting the opportunities, and he's putting the onus on Dana to get these top 5 fights in there so Makhachev can actually compete for the championship. So I'm excited to see him, but I do believe he needs at least one top 5 fight before he can get in there. Don't forget, Charles Oliveira took 28 professional fights in the UFC before he got a championship fight. So Makhachev, he's still got a little ways to go. I'm not saying he's got to wait 28 fights, but he's, you got to bide your time. Michael Chandler, we just saw exactly what happened. I'm not ready for a rematch just yet. I want him to kind of continue to grow in the UFC. I want him to continue to make a name. And a lot of people weren't sure that he should actually have this title shot, being his only second fight in the UFC. I mean, he showed that he can absolutely handle himself. And, he did get knocked out. It was a TKO in the second round. But he almost had it in the first round. And that showed you that he belongs on this stage. I believe that he needs to continue to work on his craft against a top 5 opponent at least once before he can get another shot at the title, whether it's against Oliveira or somebody else. And then Dariush, we saw exactly what he did to Tony Ferguson. This guy, he can be on the ground, he can stand up, he can do literally whatever. This guy is a man amongst boys in this division, and I think he's going to absolutely take care of some of the competition in the top five. I believe he needs to have at least one more solid win. He doesn't need to knock him out. It can be by decision, but just another solid win under his belt before he gets a championship fight.
Absolutely. I mean, Beneil Dariush is a guy who was kind of a journeyman before this surge of wins he's had. And now that he's finally getting a little bit more confidence in his game and he's starting to understand it more and he's able to handle the pressure of these tougher opponents, he's really coming into his own. But I think he's got to prove it a little bit more before he gets that shot. Now, moving into the real contenders, and we're left with three guys. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, and Justin Gaethje. And I want to start off with Justin Gaethje because his last fight was against Khabib. That was Khabib's last fight, and honestly, Justin Gaethje looked good in that fight at the beginning. He really stood toe-to-toe with Khabib on the feet. They really Khabib actually said he had a little bit of a tough time standing up with Justin Gaethje, and that's why he decided to take him down and the fight because he knew he was just that much better. Justin Gaethje is a world-class wrestler. He has a very strong wrestling background, so he's very well-rounded. But if he can't handle Khabib, can he handle Charles Oliveira? Because Charles Oliveira proved a lot in that fight against Michael Chandler. To stand toe-to-toe with a guy who is known as being one of the most feared fighters on your feet, he absolutely took him apart. He landed great punches in the first and second round, and I think that he showed his game is much more well-rounded than many people thought. So can Justin Gaethje handle a guy like Charles Oliveira right away? Does he need to prove something before he gets that shot? And to me, yes, he does. He needs to prove that he can handle somebody who has a very strong ground game. And so I think he needs to get one more fight in there before we can say he's deserving of a title contention. So that leaves us with Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor. And we all know this fight is set up for 264. It's going to be the main event. And a lot of people are starting to consider this the number one contenders fight. And I tend to agree with them because Dustin Poirier is on a 2-fight win streak. And his only loss in his last 9 fights has come to Khabib. He would have been on a massive streak if it weren't for that. So I think that Dustin Poirier, if he wins, absolutely should be given the number one contender spot. He deserves to have that title spot. As far as Conor McGregor, if he wins, a lot of people are going to say, yes, he deserves it. It was some ring rust in his fight back with Dustin. And, now that he's proven he can beat Dustin, he can move on to Charles Oliveira. And you know what? That would be a great fight to make. That would be huge for Conor and for Charles Oliveira. I believe that Conor McGregor needs to prove himself again in another fight before he gets a title fight, even if he beats Dustin Poirier. So to me, Dustin Poirier is the only guy in this division that truly is worthy of a title shot right now, but he's obviously got a task in front of him to beat Conor McGregor for a second time. Now, if Dustin were to lose and Conor were to win, all those guys I mentioned have not won. I said they all need to face somebody else before they get a title shot. And if we're having to pick one of those guys to face Charles Oliveira first, it's Justin Gaethje. He's just absolutely dominated everybody else in the division, and he has a very strong game. Just because he lost to Khabib, which everybody else has, doesn't mean he's not going to have a really strong game against Charles Oliveira. Two very different fighters. I think that Justin Gaethje, taking away what he learned from Khabib's fight, I think that he could apply that to Charles Oliveira and have a lot of success.
Yeah, so Justin Gaethje kind of stands out as the odd man out here because Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor already set up for 264. If I'm Dana, this division is so stacked. I need to keep it moving. I need to keep the fights coming. Charles Oliveira, like I said, he wanted to spend some time and just kind of rest up a bit. He didn't take too much damage, but he did say after the fight that he was happy and thankful that the fight's over, and he just kind of wants to relax for a little bit, but he'll be getting ready to defend his title soon enough. So I think Justin Gaethje is the first up here. I agree with you there. I believe Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor, whoever loses that fight, should end up going to face Michael Chandler. I think that's the next set of road that we have to go to. I look at Dariush and I say that's a good matchup for Islam Makhachev. I like that matchup a lot. So I think that there's a lot of matchups in this six that we've talked about. I really like what they have to offer and how they could all kind of go through the pecking order themselves and take each other out one by one and kind of figure it out. But before we end today's video and before we get to the end here, I wanted to take a look and see, do you think that if he was impressed enough, would Khabib Nurmagomedov actually consider unretiring and coming in to face Charles Oliveira, whom he's never faced before? Somebody who has the same skill set where he can box with you standing on his feet, he can go to the ground, and he's, one of the most talented BJJ fighters in the UFC. I think, the possibility is out there, and we're not the only ones who think about it, but I don't know. Do you think Khabib might have been a little intrigued last night?
I think there's more than a possibility that he was intrigued by that fight. Charles Oliveira really proved a lot, and to me, he's probably the closest we have in the UFC right now to Khabib's ability, and so Khabib was definitely impressed. But is that enough to take him out of retirement? I just don't think so. He made a promise to his family that he's done, he's retired, and he has stuck to his guns, even with Dana White hounding him constantly, like, come back for one more, just one more, make it 30-0. That's what your father wanted. Come on, let's do it. This would be the fight to make, but I just don't think Khabib is going to break his promise that he made to his family. That's just not the guy he is.
Yeah, it would definitely be something special to watch, right? I could imagine, especially like a November-December fight with Khabib and Charles Oliveira being an absolute incredible slobber knocker. But like I said, it'll be very tough, especially to get him to unretire, even though his reasoning for retiring was that, he's been through the entire division. He's knocked off all the top dogs. Well, Charles Oliveira now holds the title that Khabib once had. And this is the first time that Khabib is actually looking at somebody else holding that same exact title. This is the first time that somebody has had it for real. And I think at this point, it could intrigue him nonetheless to come out of retirement and actually make another fight to go 30-0. Either way, we have a lot to sort through over the next few months, and I'm really excited for where this division is and where it can go. I think there's a lot more to be disputed, to be fought over, and I'm just happy that we get to sit back, watch it, and talk about it. All right, well, that's going to do it for now. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.